despite the mounting and irrefutable evidence indicating that migrants are being kept in unsanitary conditions in these detention facilities, the DHS Secretary, Kevin McAleenan, is arguing that no, this is none of this is true. This is unsubstantiated, and Martha Raddatz called him out. So in the first video, Martha Raddatz actually outlines a report that we talked about here on this show. It's the Inspector General's report into the conditions of these detention facilities. Let's take a quick look at that.
I want to begin with that IG report, your own IG report. We saw those disturbing images of the migrants in some of those border facilities and read from the report about overcrowding and unsanitary conditions. This from the report itself as well. 31% of the children at these facilities had been held longer than 72 hours, generally permitted under legal standards. Children at 3 of the 5 Border Patrol facilities had no access to showers. Single adults at one facility, some were held in standing room only conditions for a week, and at another more than a month in overcrowded cells. And although standards require CBP to make a reasonable effort to provide a shower for adults after 72 hours, most single adults had not had a shower in CBP custody, despite several being held, again, for as long as a month.
So I start off by showing you that video because you see him, Kevin McAleenan is just sitting there and she's outlining specifically what that Inspector General's report says. And is he gonna continue arguing that these claims are unsubstantiated? I don't know, let's take a look.
You spoke about the Clint facility after an earlier AP report described inadequate food, water, and sanitation. Here's what you said about the allegations at Clint.
Unsubstantiated allegations last week regarding a single Border Patrol facility in Clint Station in Texas created a sensation. That's balanced somewhat since several media outlets toured the Clint Station and saw the actual conditions there, a clean and well-managed facility and well-equipped process.
The New York Times report is talking specifically about the Clint facility. Why did you call those allegations unsubstantiated?
Because there's adequate food and water, because the facility's cleaned every day, because I know what our standards are, and I know they're being followed because we have tremendous levels of oversight, five levels of oversight.
You don't believe the New York Times report?
So you're asking...
The stench of the children's dirty clothing was so strong it spread to the agent. They had scabies, chicken pox. Why did you say unsubstantiated?
You just referenced 3 things that were unsubstantiated: inadequate food, inadequate water, and unclean cells. None of those have been substantiated. What I have is an Office of Professional Responsibility, an independent office that oversees our operations report, who went to Clint Station in the same time period. We have the juvenile coordinator.
Do you still think they're unsubstantiated, given the New York Times and the El Paso Times report, these specific allegations?
So I don't know which specific allegations you're referencing, but let's be very clear.
The ones I just read.
This is an extraordinarily challenging situation.
What is the point of interviewing these people? If they're just gonna lie, I mean, you'll present the evidence, everyone can see the evidence, you can see the sky is blue, but if they're gonna keep arguing that the sky is purple, like what is the point of having this conversation?
No, that's actually unsubstantiated. Because apparently the word unsubstantiated has changed to, it has to be substantiated by a Trump official. Not by facts, not by reporters, not by Congress people who've gone there, but he's like, well, I didn't substantiate it, so it must be unsubstantiated by definition. And he said, we're following our standards. That might be part of the problem.
Exactly.
You're following your standards. And as other people have pointed out here, cruelty to these immigrants is unfortunately not a side effect of the Trump policy. It's part of the point of the Trump policy, because he tells people, you better not come here. If you come here, there's gonna be consequences and we're gonna treat you like dirt. So that is following through on their standards, is to treat them in a way that is so degrading and dirty that now the kids are getting scabies. I wasn't positive that disease even existed anymore. But hey, they made America scabies again.
So if mistreating people like this is not a bug, it's the feature, then why not own it? Right? You have this opportunity, you have this platform, why don't you just own it? I mean, if this is what's popular with your base, and I'm not specifically talking about McAleenan, I'm talking about the Trump administration, Trump specifically, then why not just own it? I mean, Trump himself in an interview right in front of Air Force One was like, no, these reports are lies. And I'm thinking about sharing these tours, like letting the press tour the facilities.
Great, let's do it.
Well, here's the problem with that though. You know what they're gonna do, right? We're living in Cuba. Like you hear Republicans argue, oh, you're gonna go travel to Cuba and the government's only gonna show you the best of the country. They're not gonna show you the terrible conditions people are living under. No, but that's what the Trump administration wants to do with these detention facilities. You think they're actually gonna keep the facilities the way they are at this moment for press tours?
So I like your reference to Cuba. In Cuba, they can't say Castro, so they have to do this, like the bearded one. So for Trump, they might be like the orange-haired one or the long tie one. Long tie, okay. Small hands one, okay. But the correct policy would be here. Any congressperson can go to any of those facilities because they are the people's representatives. Right now, they have to get permission from the executive branch, and they're not allowed to record anything there or take any pictures. Because what happened? I thought you said it was clean and you were following your standards. Then why wouldn't you let a United States representative take pictures or video of the facilities? You won't, because you know that they're in terrible situations, disastrous conditions. And about letting the press in, no, we're not gonna do okay. No, what we're gonna do, what you would do is say, hey, press, you're allowed to visit any of the facilities.
Exactly.
At any time. Now, of course, you're not gonna do that because you don't believe in transparency, you don't believe in democracy, and it's because they're in miserable conditions.
And Nancy Pelosi appropriated $4.6 billion for them.
With no conditions.
With no conditions. So we have that to look at on the other side of this political spectrum. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, let's bust this up with some fun.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say let's do some bust nuts, but we can do that too. All right, yes, I know the stories that are coming up, and they are in fact fun.
Ice cream liquors, it's a thing.
From bootlickers to ice cream liquors. Oh, and I got an idea for the new MAGA hats, scabies for babies. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.